tiger leap. Is it about energy then? Gre za energijo. Or is it about courage? Gre za pogum. Is it attitude? Gre za odnos. Is it about that things can and shall be done differently?
So what I wanted to do today is instill something in you about the tiger leap, okay? And I've got about an hour to do that. And I've got about an hour to potentially, if I'm very lucky, change your life forever. When I started this initiative 6 years ago, I kept asking myself the question, not what is management? And I wasn't asked the question, what is leadership? I was asking the question, what's next? What's beyond leadership? What's the next step? What's the future that we need in order to be successful in the 21st century? Okay? Back then, when I encountered the extreme focus on numbers, the extreme focus on results and profitability in very short cycles, the intensity of the pressure being put on the people side of the business would continuously increase. Because all that mattered, the only thing that mattered were the numbers and the results, and everything else was secondary. And at that point in time, I said, it can't be the future, especially of leadership, that all that matters is numbers and all that matters is results. Where's the human element? Where are things and values that are important to all of us? And a big piece of that was dignity and respect and trust and appreciation for what people do every single minute of every single day in the companies that they're at. And in most of the companies I was at, I didn't see any respect, any trust, any dignity. It was all numbers, it was control, it was performance, and it was results. And I said there's got to be a better way to do that. And that's when we initiated what we now call Beyond Leadership. The answer to the future of Slovenia lies in the distant past of where you're from and is accessible in the present. And I'll try to show you pieces of that as we go through the presentation. So the reality is the same in China, in Brazil, in Slovenia, in Russia, and everywhere you go. The only differences between the countries is the level of corruption in the system. That's the only difference. And I'm sure Slovenia has no corruption at all. There is no democracy in corporate reality. Or is there? You guys vote for your president at IBM? No, right? You don't do that. So it's like the last bastion of tyranny in the world, right? Next to North Korea and a couple other, Syria, a couple other places. But that's all going to go away at some point. But the sad part is no one is even asking it to go away in the corporate life. So that's the reality. Anybody, you guys kind of agree on that a little bit? Maybe, different graphics, different statements. But that's the reality. Anybody feel this every day in their business? Where you're out there, are you feeling the pressure? The push, the numbers, the results? You got that? You feel that a lot? All the time. So, basically, that can't be the future, right? I mean, it don't feel good. It don't sound right. All our bodily senses are saying this has nothing to do with the way it should be, right? You make decisions just based on Excel sheets. Anybody like Excel sheets? You're going to have to talk to me in the break later. Okay? Because I'm trying to figure out how can you look at a computer screen for 8 hours and get really excited? I mean, if you're on the internet looking at pretty whatevers, you might get excited, right? But, how can you look at PowerPoints or whatevers and spend hours and hours building them and putting them together and get really excited, feel good about yourself? There's no goodness about that. The numbers have no influence whatsoever on the success of your business or your company. It has no influence on the success of your country as Slovenia. You have to find the answer of what the truth is outside of the number. Okay? And if you can do that, you can leap over everybody. Big time. The people interaction piece is absolutely crucial. It's the difference between winning and losing. It's the difference between being in the highest league and not being in the highest league. And that human interaction factor is actually the factor that will make the difference in the future. Every time I meet a CEO, and I do that every 3, 4, or 5 weeks, I meet a CEO, I ask them a question. One of the questions I ask them is, how often this week have you sat down with employees? You know? Or how often this week have you sat down with your customers? And I'm not talking about CEO and CEO on a golf course talking about their boats. That doesn't count. You know? And the answer I usually get is, I don't have time. I got more important things to do. The capitalist system has gotten us into a numbers-driven reality. It is a numbers-driven reality. I don't care what the numbers are, what the KPIs are, what the dashboards are, okay? If you can figure out the answer of what would allow you to generate 20, 30% more growth than anyone else, 40, 50, 60% more profit than anyone else, and a bigger return than ever in the history of your country, you would have something of value. And because everyone else is so stuck in the existing system, whoever figures it out first is going to have an advantage. And the way you figured it out is understanding what drives performance the most. Is it numbers that drives performance the most, or people that drive performance the most? We all know the answer is people, right? The issue. But if I ask companies today, what is the leadership model that you utilize so that your leadership influences this interaction quality, so that the interaction quality gives you a high level of engagement and motivation and inspiration so that you can perform better than everybody else? And the answer in 99% of the cases is you go, we don't have a model, Patrick. I said, why not? So we just let, people should lead the way they lead. And if 10 people are bound to each other strongly and someone from the top says something that makes no sense, that's stupid to do, that actually means you have to mistreat someone else, would that team of 10 do it? Or would they say no? They would say no. They would say, no way we're going to do that. And if it was 100,000 people, how many no's would you be getting? You'd get 100,000 no's. Never again could a leader force people to do something that they don't agree is right. That's the future of where we need to be. And once you have achieved that level of interaction quality, once you have that performance potential, you will achieve better and higher results than anyone else. Am I correct? You would achieve that. Now, if you have the opportunity to consciously do that, not just do it because you're a charismatic leader, not just do it because you really care, it's your company, you care about your people, they know that you care. If the people know that you're willing to give your life for the people, will they give their life for you? Because if you can find a mechanism that would allow you to tap into the strength and the power of your culture in the youngest country in Europe, if you could tap into that and identify something that you haven't yet identified as a country and as a culture, something that makes you uniquely Slovenian, something that goes all the way back to King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and Percival, who was on a quest, right? What was his quest? The quest for the Holy Grail. That's the Holy Grail. That's my lifelong quest for the answer to that question of what would we have to do to have that quality and level in every interaction in every single company. When my children start working in 10 years from today, I want to guarantee that they have that level of dignity and respect and appreciation in every job that they do, in every day that they're at that job. It's not about coming to work motivated and inspired. It's about going home motivated and inspired so that you make more babies for the next generation that has to come out of the demographic problem that we've got, right? The bottom line of all that is if you can take the common sense that we've talked about and actually establish that in every single team, in every single organization, in every single company, Imagine that the interaction between the companies in this country were that way. Imagine if the energy guys and the technology guys and the government guys and everybody else, and girls, of course, for American guys includes everybody, right? If all of you were engaged with the common purpose of making this country successful, of making it successful for the next generation of Slovenians, to be an example for the rest of the EU and the rest of the world, that you can leap beyond what the capitalistic model offers today. That you can take a big, big step, which you need courage to make that step, because you know it's common sense, but we don't behave that way. If you can make that big, big step, each individual company that does so is going to be more successful. That's not enough. You've got to make sure that every company in this country that has a worthy cause and a just cause to fight for has the ability to utilize that type of model. It's the model of the future. In 10 years, and 20 years, and 30 years, if we're going to survive as a planet, this is going to be the future model of interaction, because the younger generation will no longer accept disrespect and disappreciation in the workplace. They'll go work somewhere else. And many of them will work virtually for hundreds of companies at the same time. So you have to figure out what the answer is and then start applying that answer in your environment.